Welcome to our um, weekly briefing, 11 o'clock. Um, First, I'm going to do roll calls. So, representative from Eastern Oregon area, anyone?
Good morning, Brett. Gina Miner, Assistant Area Director for EOA.
Thanks, Gina. And representative for Northwest.
Right.
Morning, Brett. Robbie LaFave, Assistant Area Director for Northwest Oregon area.
And just a reminder to everybody, if you're not speaking,
annual
make sure
recreation watch is $150.
Because I'm hearing Mr. Bond, I think. Yeah, there we go. And then representative from SOA.
Good morning, Brett. Dave Larson here, Southern Oregon Area Director.
Morning, Dave. And now we will turn it over to TZA to give us our fire weather update.
Good morning, everyone. All right, today, Monday, July 28th. Let's get into it here straight away. Just take a quick glance. Last week, thunderstorms, South Central Oregon and the east side. Quite a few strikes, some fire starts, some moisture accompanying it. And then get right into what's happening this week with red flag warnings, fire weather watches, and get into the thunderstorm conversation. This is the week of thunderstorms continuing. We'll take a look at ODF's thunderstorm probabilities, thanks to Pete Parsons, keeping those two products updated for wet thunderstorms and dry thunderstorm probabilities. And then go right into the Northwest Coordination Center's significant fire potential. And given the thunderstorm probabilities, we'll take a quick glance at the precipitation that is forecasted or expected through the week. And then glance at the temps, the relative humidity, and the winds. Remind ourselves of the drought situation, see where we're at there, and then go into the fire danger indices, including the energy release and the fuel moistures, the large fuel moistures. And then we'll round it out with the NOAA 6 to 10 day forecast, get us through the first part of the first week of August. And then a quick flash reminder of what we're dealing with on the monthly and seasonal outlooks. And then another reminder of what we're dealing with on the national stage with the wildland fire potential. So just a quick glance as I monitor activity through the season. Just taking a look at, lots of fire starts happening in Southern Oregon, and just taking a look at the lightning strike activity and thunderstorm activity. And there was some precipitation accompanying those thunderstorms, but probably isolated. Counted about 600 strikes, a little over 600 strikes over the past 7 days or so. So we're monitoring. And we've got the red flag warnings coming through this week for tonight, all the way through tonight, 10 p.m. for lightning. And in kind of south central and eastern Oregon there, erratic outflow winds from these thunderstorms. The winds look pretty squirrely going around where these thunderstorms are going to be. And then south central, we've got a fire weather watch through Tuesday evening, lightning on dry fuels. So this is the big story this week, the thunderstorm potential, pretty much a wide swath through the state of Oregon. The NOAA Storm Prediction Center only goes out 3 days on these, so I capture those. So that thunderstorm potential and rain potential is here, but there's also the potential for isolated dry thunderstorms. So just showing those so you can kind of get a feel for what's happening here. We've got a low pressure system off the coast of Alaska, the Gulf of Alaska, and then we've got high pressure in the interior of the continent here, kind of in Northern California, kind of pushing the systems up and bringing some moisture in. So ODF's thunderstorm probabilities, just really handy to be able to see the entire state, Western Oregon and Central and Eastern Oregon, and just daily probabilities of having thunderstorm activity and having dry thunderstorm activity. This is the table on the right. And so just as I continue to learn how to use these products, just taking a look, the higher percentages, the higher probabilities are for wet thunderstorms, but they're still up into the 30s for dry. So we do have that capability of having dry thunderstorms. Northwest Coordination Center has quite a bit of information on their forecast for the week, just highlighting Wednesday, and it's really Tuesday too, but Wednesday we've got that critical burn environment with a high risk for significant lightning in central Oregon, and just quite a few tidbits in here regarding the thunderstorm activity, especially on dry fuels and the squirrely winds, and there might be rain underneath the cores of thunderstorms, but they'll be pretty scattered. So just quite a bit of content in this. I recommend you taking a look at it in detail, but I captured some of the high points and I'll reiterate those in the summary. So given the fact that we've got these thunderstorms coming through, I wanted to take a quick glance at the probability of precip from the National Weather Service, their graphical weather viewer. And so you can see where the kind of the lighter green is through the middle of the state, bringing that system up into the state and trailing off as we head to the weekend up through the Northeast and out. And so most of the activity there, Central Oregon, there's spillover over onto the west side. That's definitely possible. So given this precipitation, there's only up to a 40% chance. Mostly it's about 10 to 30% at the best. And the amounts of precip look like it's traced to sometimes up to 1/4 of an inch that's under those cores of the thunderstorms. And so Northwest Coordination Center is forecasting locally heavy showers can be expected Wednesday and Thursday in central and south central Oregon. So kind of where those heavier green is located. Temperatures, we are warming up a little bit Monday through Wednesday here and into a little bit on Thursday because of that high pressure having an influence on our state. But we are kind of in the seasonable range, 60s and 70s on the coast, 80s, mid 90s, rest of the state. And then just zooming in a little bit, Tuesday through Thursday, there's pockets of higher 90s to low hundreds. Humidity, we've got the system coming in. We're starting out dry though, Monday, Tuesday. And then as those thunderstorms start coming in, obviously the humidity is going to go up a little bit, but we can see where the hot spots are, that southeast Oregon, far southeast Oregon, up in the center of the state, along the border, along the northern border of Oregon. Nevada is going through fuels and fire behavior advisory right now, so you can see the influence of that down in that far southeast corner of our state. The winds, there's not a strong signal on the graphical forecast for the National Weather Service, except for the usual gorge winds that happen to start Thursday through the weekend, good for the windsurfers, but they're squirrely. The wind barbs look very squirrely through the week because of the thunderstorm activity. And Northwest Coordination Center, again, they're expecting gusty, erratic winds near those thunderstorms. So watch for squirrely winds. A quick check on the drought again, just continues to embed itself abnormally dry, most of the state, and Northeast Oregon. It's just been a hot spot up in there going into extreme drought. And the soil moisture, west side soil moisture is just incredibly dry. And along the northern border, over the past week or so, we've had a little bit of a breather. You remember in our last briefing, we've got a small breather here. And so over the past week, that evaporative demand has kind of decreased a little bit, but we're still got a hot spot all the way across the top of the state. Okay, switch gears a little bit here to the ODF significant fire potential. And most of the districts are at high.
They rushed the second assessment, which actually flipped the first assessment at the end of the Obama administration. Even when this.
Okay. So most of the states at high, and we've got a couple in moderate, but just barely so. Again, it was that a little bit of a breather we had except for the thunderstorm activity in southeastern Oregon and eastern Oregon. But the indices, the ferocity of the season has kind of waned a little bit to give us a little bit of a breather here. So we'll take a look at the ERCs. This time I'm going through South Cascade, DFPA, Southwest Oregon, in anticipation of thunderstorm activity on the west side here, west side of the Cascades. And you know, the usual, we're looking at the red line going across, which is this year's data streaming in, and the blue line shows last year, and the gray lines show the maximum and the minimum, and the black line in the middle is kind of the average. And so we've been above average for sure. We've had the breather last week, brought it down a little bit, and now we're running about average on these charts here now. So for potential for large, costly fire has come back down a little bit, but here we are bracing for impact for this week. Take a look at the ERCs over on the east side. This time looking at Klamath Lake a little bit closer in. And these guys are a little bit better off than we are on the west side, actually. They're a little bit below average and forecasted to decrease because of the thunderstorm activity. So a breather. Then I wanted to take a look at the 1,000-hour field moistures again here. South Cascades are back on the west side. And we've been at minimums here, 10-year minimums for a lot of the Cascade areas in Southwest Oregon. And again, a little bit of a breather. Field moistures came up a little bit, but now we're running about average, but still very dry, relatively speaking, on the west side. And then on the east side, Klamath going in there looking much better given the potential precip coming in. Forecast is to go up quite a bit. Prineville Sisters is the dry spot now, the Central Oregon area. So forecasted to increase, but still running about average. Northeast Oregon is just maxed out a couple of weeks ago here and just hovering around maximums. So just kind of get us through August, the first week of August or so. We're looking at near normal temperatures on the west side, below normal on the east side, potentially because of this thunderstorm activity. And then the precipitation's looking a little bit better, but we'll have to see how things go with the dry thunderstorm capabilities. Just a reminder, we're in the thick of it now, August, above normal overall for the month in temperature and below for precip. And then another reminder that we've still got to get through September as well and into October as well. The National Significant Fire Potential Outlook comes out usually around the first of the month here. And so we're still kind of riding on July, but we can see August on the bottom right there. And we'll see what changes here in the next few days. But we've still got a ways to go here. So thunderstorm potential through the week. We've got some localized precipitation that's possible, but the Storm Prediction Center is showing isolated dry thunderstorms. That's a possibility. And then just a cautionary that the west side and central Oregon fuels are pretty dry, very, very dry. And then a reminder with the Northwest Coordination Center is that we're going to be watching for lightning outside of those rain cores on receptive dry fuels. And that's why we have the red flag warnings right now and the fire weather watches. And Northwest Coordination Center has also mentioned that there's a potential for numerous fires on the west side and holdover fires from this lightning activity. And then as the systems go by, as the fuels dry and the winds pick up, especially through Cascade Gaps, Columbia Basin, and the Gorge, it's going to promote more active fire behavior. And so with that, Brett, that is your briefing.
Perfect. Thank you, TZA.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well done. So now moving on to current fire situations. A national fire preparedness level is at a 4. The Northwest fire preparedness level is a 3, and our ODF fire activity level is a 3 as well. Currently, no IMTs or CIMTs or Type 1s or OSFM are deployed on any Oregon fires. And as for our IMTs, Team 2 is currently on rotation or is available now, and then Team 3 will be coming up in a couple days. Fire stats for year to date. So far, we have on ODF fires is 578, totaling 12,533 acres, and statewide fires are 1,164, totaling 146,589. Some of the fires to note were the board shanty that was handed back to the district on the 22nd, and the Hagenstein and Elk fires that were handed back to the district on the 23rd. Now we'll move to our ODF fire activity briefs per area, and we'll start with Northwest Oregon area.
Morning, everybody. My name is Robbie LaFave, and I'm the Assistant Area Director for Northwest Oregon area. So we'll start. We have no new accidents or injuries to report at this time for over the last week. Moving on to the industrial fire protection levels, you'll hear that called IFPL across the area. So as you can see there, we're an IFPL 1 along the coast and an IFPL of 2 across the rest of the area. Moving to public use restrictions across the area, we're a low in West Oregon 1, a moderate in West Oregon 2 and Northwest 1, and we're high elsewhere across the area. We have no new or evolving fires to report over the last week. In terms of initial attack, it was pretty light across the area, and we're thankful for that. Resources currently out of the area, we were able to get team and pool members back for some much needed R&R. And then there was one Northwest Strike team deployed to Klamath as a severity resource, and we extended their stay today for a little bit longer down there to help with the expected lightning that'll be hitting that portion of the state. For our own severity needs, the area currently doesn't have any. We do still have South Fork available as needed for initial attack across the area, and that's been a really great program. We are thankful to South Fork for that. Fuels continue to dry. There's a chance for thunderstorms Monday through Wednesday throughout portions of the area, so we'll be vigilant on that. And then any issues, thank you to Public Affairs for working with staff to get out a press release regarding shooting lane fires last week. We've really seen that posted on lots of sites, and we are getting traction with that. Having 5 fires at shooting lanes over a week period was abnormal for us, so we just thank the support there. And I think I made a mistake. It's industrial fire protection levels. I think I said something else, so that's what that means for that. And with that, end of report. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. And we'll move to SOA.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Dave Larson, Southern Oregon Area Director. No vehicle accidents to report, but we did have one personal injury, a shoulder strain, ODF crew member down there in Southwest Oregon. Fire danger is high across the Southern Oregon area. We're looking at IFPL 2s in the interior, with the exception of 3 at DFPA and IFPL level 1 over at the coast. Initial attack activity has been light since last Monday. We've had 15 stat fires, 1 mutual aid, and 69 non-fire crew actions or calls for service, totaling 85 for the week. Most of the NFCAs were either out upon our arrival or regulated use violations. The weather, TZA covered it pretty well. We're looking at sunny temperatures, mid-90s in the Rogue Valleys, mid-80s in the Umpqua and southern Willamette Valley. We're going to see humidities staying around 25% in the south and about mid-30s in the north. That chance of thunderstorms in the Rogue Valley is going to be around for the next 3 to 4 days. There is potential there to spread to the west side and the interior valleys on Thursday, and even showing up with a chance of nocturnal thunderstorms as early as Wednesday evening. Aviation assets and combined both district and severity. We've got 2 Type 1 helicopters, 2 Type 2 helicopters, 2 Type 3 helicopters, and 3 air attack fixed wing platforms. Issues or concerns going into this week are just basically the weather forecast, and we'll see where things shake out. That's the end of report unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Dave. And we will move to Eastern Oregon area.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Gina Miner. I'm the Assistant Area Director for Eastern Oregon area. Across EOA, we had 1 minor safety non-injury incident in the last week. And for fire danger rating, Klamath Lake District is in high fire danger. Walker Range is in extreme. Central Oregon District, Prineville unit and the Dalles unit is in extreme, with John Day remaining in high. And Northeast Oregon District is also in high. We are at IFPL 3 and MH4 and MH1. And in the last week, we responded to 28 fires between ourselves and our cooperators, with that number expected to increase with the weather that TZA briefed you on. Fires of note in EOA currently, I would like to happily report that the Cram fire outside of Madras is 100% contained, and the total acreage on that is 95,736 acres. And it has been transitioned to a Type 4 organization as of yesterday, and I would like to again thank everyone involved. The only other fire that I would like to mention is a great catch by the Northeast Oregon District. The East Rock fire is being reported at 20 acres, and they are currently engaged on that fire. We continue to utilize Severity aircraft hosted across the area and are very thankful for that asset. The RFPAs have responded to 9 fires since our last call, and they continue to be a great asset in our initial attack across Eastern Oregon. Lastly, I would like to say that the employees across Eastern Oregon are doing great work at catching fires nearly daily, and I know that hard work will continue through these expected storms. And I want to say a special thank you to everyone that works for EOA and continues to come over from other areas to help us with our fire. And also a big thank you to all of our partners. And I hope you all have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And now going into our crew resource availability. Currently, we're showing 520 hand crews, Type 2 hand crews available. And then we have 19 currently deployed. There's 6 on the board shanty, 6 on the Hagelstein, 4 on the Grizzly Complex, and 3 otherwise assigned. And then I'm going to transition to our aviation resources. And I didn't check earlier, but I think I saw Sarah on.
Yep, it's me.
Perfect. You're on.
So good morning, everyone. Sarah Prout, State Aviation Coordinator. Today's report's going to be pretty brief. There hasn't really been a lot of significant changes since last week's briefing. So all 18 Severity Program aircraft have been engaged in suppression efforts across the state. We are experiencing a little bit of a glitch with our database for statistics. So I'm going to provide cumulative hours between severity and call when needed today. So collectively, our aircraft have flown 1,190 hours. Helicopters have delivered 3,221 buckets of water, and all aircraft have delivered over 1.5 million gallons of water and fire chemicals to incidents across the state. Call when needed aircraft competition has been moderate, but to date, the agency has not had any unmet resource needs. The agency multi-mission aircraft is undergoing test flights this week, which is great news. We do anticipate the aircraft becoming available this weekend if flights are successful this week. The call when needed MMA 88 November is still providing coverage for detection. There are pending orders in the system for night flights in Southern and Northeast Oregon. Completion of those requested areas will be dependent on weather this evening. Pending any questions, that's all I have today.
Well, thank you, Sarah. On my agenda, I have a safety message, but I don't believe Eric is on. I don't think we have anybody else representing safety today, unless I'm wrong.
I'm here, Alexis, representing safety today.
There we go. Alexis, thank you.
I don't have too much to share today. The past week, we did have 3 vehicle incidents. We've definitely seen an uptick in vehicle incidents this past month. This was our 12th vehicle incident this month. So a good opportunity to remind our crews to be mindful and aware of their surroundings on the road, especially in parking lots. That's where we're seeing a lot of these incidents happening. And also a good opportunity to make sure your teams are all updated or are all up to date on their required driver trainings. We are seeing that a lot of these vehicle incidents, employees involved aren't up to date on those trainings. Other than that, we just had 2 minor injuries this week. The shoulder strain that Dave mentioned, and then a tick bite. So that's all I have this week, unless there are any questions.
Well, thank you, Alexis. Yes, I know being down on that board shanty fire when there was quite a few ticks down in there. They're definitely out and about this time of year. So, okay, and then moving over to protection staff. Any hot topics? I'm going to open it up with. I'm going to go to Ron first, and then possibly close out with Michael.
Yeah, I have nothing to add, Brett, so we'll go right to Michael. Thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, good to see everybody again. So we actually almost canceled today's fire briefing because I think, as you guys can all hear just from the updates, not a lot going on over the past week, which is good news, but given the forecast that TZA just reported on, we thought it would be good broad awareness just for all agency staff and all of our partners, just to have a good understanding of what we're looking at this week and potentially what could be happening to us. We could be in store for a very busy week. But thankfully, I think we're as prepared and ready for it as we can be come July 28th. We've got all 3 teams home, and minus the strike team and a couple overhead, we pretty much have everybody back at their home districts getting rested up, which is great news to hear, being the tail end of July and a completely different story from what we were dealing with last summer at this same time. So feeling really good with where we're at and how prepared we are. Now it's just going to kind of be a wait and see what actually happens with the lightning. But I think just a good take home for everybody, and to just help share the word that we could be in for a very busy week going into this weekend, depending on how bad this lightning gets and how much moisture, if any, does show up with it. So with that, I do want to thank folks for the wonderful safety record so far this summer. We definitely have had some little incidents here or there. That's going to happen regardless. But a really good track record so far, and just ask folks to keep that up. I would like to highlight, though, Friday will be August 1st. And really once that month of August gets here, we will start to see an uptick in safety related incidents. And a lot of that's just tied back to complacency. So really just want to ask our fire managers on the call, and even for staff that work for other agencies, let's make sure and hit the reset button, and make sure folks are taking serious those tailgate safety sessions, so we can try to avoid complacency, because as we get busier come the month of August, we're usually seeing those uptick in safety related incidents, as I mentioned earlier. So we want to try to avoid those the best we can. And we can do a lot just by trying to avoid complacency the best that we can as well. So just ask folks that they're doing that, and they keep safety at the forefront of everything we're doing. So with that, I hope we can cancel next week's briefing due to limited fire activity. So fingers crossed there. But we'll make sure and get information out as quick as we can, depending on what happens over this next week, with fires across the state. So thanks everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you, Michael. And that concludes our Monday briefing. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.